Hey guys, how you doing today? So, this is going to be for the empaths, but my INFJ friends should get something out of this. And I know that before I even knew I was this, I knew I was this. And I have a friend that's an INFP, and I was like a little ahead of her in learning this. So I taught her the terminology. I taught her some different things about why it was important to kind of watch your energy. I'm going to explain that in a minute. But so I'm thinking that this is my friend INFP. I think it's this that makes us the way we are. Now, I'm not a professional on the Myers Briggs, but my breakdown is, I'll just give you the NF part. It's 76%. So I have always felt like I'm driven by my intuition's very strong. My feelings are very strong. So it's important. I'll tell you what I learned. The most important thing to understand about yourself is to know this question. Is this mine? Get in the habit of getting really comfortable with that. And you want to hear yourself say it. So whether you have to say it out loud, you want to talk to your friends about it, you want to explain that you learned what this is, or talk to your other feeling friends, the thoughtful ones that listen to you. You don't have to know their type to know who will have an ear for your feelings. And then maybe they know about this, and just bring it to the front of your awareness so it becomes part of your life. And then trust me that I'm telling you it's very, very important. And let me just give you an example. Even someone like myself that I feel is pretty schooled on this, I can still slip into picking up other people's stuff. And let me show you what that winds up looking like so you can recognize it in your own life. And then just cut it off the pass, end it is when you see it. And then you don't have to suffer. And I have a history, of my life of analyzing it. And trust me, this is how it works. So it's not like you're going to eliminate the emotions from others, but you can stop it. You can see it once you learn and just cut it off, because it's not yours. If it's not yours, and obviously if it is, you deal with it. But here's what this can look like. Now, I have a job. I'm a counselor, but I also have a physical job because I like using my mind, but it's good for me to use my body. That I've always had. When I was a chef, I was also a waitress. Like it helps me to do two things. So I have a job where I organize people's physical stuff. I deal with people's physical stuff. I'm what we call a professional organizer. So it's interesting. I just want to point this out because this is fun. People's stuff, if you don't deal with your head stuff, it becomes your physical stuff. It becomes like your piles and things. So it's very funny to me that I'm doing the same job counseling. It just manifested into physical stuff laying around their house. But anyway, this is an empath video, so I get right to it. I was with a client, and now me personally, this is a new business for me, and I'm pointing that out because I've been an entrepreneur for many years where I worked at home by myself. So I have not had to exercise this skill that I'm teaching you. I have not, if you're home and you're quote unquote safe and you're comfy and you know who's coming in the door, just the people that live with you and you're already familiar with them, and nobody's like, really demonstrative or kind of vampiring you and you're in a healthy relationship, you don't really kind of deal with the potentially negative aspects of being an empath. it's the public, and it's the information coming in that you have to monitor. But being home, being an entrepreneur, and not having real emotional people around me for family members, I have, been living so peacefully for so long that I almost forgot, because I can control my atmosphere. I can control the internet. I can control television. And I can control when I go outside too. So I have kind of forgot my own empathy, right? Because I made my own perfect world. But we can't always do that. So when I did get out into the world again, I had this client. And now my business, because I'm organizing, I'm in someone's home and it's one-on-one. So I'm, working with this woman who is at the most intense place in her life. Although from listening to her for 9 hours, I could tell that she's her whole life has been the way that it's been, just a lot of emotions. So anyway, I was my usual upbeat, I feel like I'm 100%, upbeat, optimistic, all that, right? But now here's this woman, and she's having a time where she's like, she burst into tears at one point, so she's just, this is like the happiness scale. She's just, not doing well, very emotional, because she's touching all of these things in her basement that they're in her basement for a reason. They're upsetting. And actually I tried to get her just to do like linen closet, just something with no feelings, but she kind of didn't want to be coached. But anyway, so she's like down here. So I get home a few days, I worked with her for 3 days, and I'm kind of in a funk. And I thought it was because we have winter here. So sometimes that's a little bit of an issue for me. And where I live, it gets dark for longer period of time. And it's been so cold and all that. So I thought it was like my little weakness. And then I realized it wasn't. And the only reason I came out of my funk is this question. It's the only reason, because I became consciously aware. So I was, in this state of being as the observer. I was not just feeling like the, in just kind of being succumb and feeling like the feeling took me over, like the feeling was me. I became the observer. And I remembered, thank goodness, to say, is this mine? Like, hey, wait a minute. I was really happy. Like, what happened here? Because I thought I was doing so well, because I did do well. I even gave her a hug at the end. She was not actively draining me in a way that was obvious. So it was like maybe the second day and the third day of it, although I was still feeling what I thought was fine. And then she actually, even after 3 days, she couldn't work anymore. She had to take time because she just pushed herself way too hard. So is this mine? So what was actually happening, now that I got some perspective and I realized I am not that feeling, and I became the observer, is this mine? Well, no, it isn't. And then it changed. The dynamics changed and my mood lifted and I was back to being my upbeat, optimistic self. So now let's look back in retrospect. What actually happened? Well, my 100% and her 25% did not like make 75, although it can. You are mixing your energies. Now, I feel that this is a very strong wave. When you're positive and optimistic, it can easily sweep up these guys. Because I've worked with clients like that where I made them elated. And I did make this lady happy, but maybe I only made her like a 50%. She did feel better, but not good enough. Because I have been with people where I just took them and swept them right up with me. And we both felt good. Even though it was difficult for that lady too. But so no, it doesn't necessarily mean that my 100 and her 25 our energies are gonna merge like that. But it did bring me down. And then while I was down, let's say I was at 60%. Remember, this is our happiness. Maybe I was at 60% after being with that lady. Well, now that I'm down here, I started, because of the law of attraction, I started noticing things that are down at that 60% mark, things that upset me, things that bother me on, social media, right? I was attracting that in my experience and my awareness because now I'm lower, which made me even lower. You see, this is what the law of attraction does. It adds to whatever you're doing. And then, it was when it got like that, lower, let's call it 40, that I was like, oh crap, what the hell's wrong with me? This isn't me. And then that kicked me up to, is this mine? So that's the lesson. I hope you got that. I have a way of speaking that can be all over the place, but I'm thinking if you're an empath, you're going to be able to follow that because you're feeling stuff and your intuition you might kind of get that. But that's why I'm going to name this video the most important question you can ask yourself, because it will get you out of your funk, out of your mood, if you can then be the observer. Okay? You know why? Because you are not the feeling. A psychiatrist taught me that. This was probably one of the best things that he taught me. You, and remember, this is the eternal you. This is the inner you, the soul, whatever you want to call it. You're never the feeling. And if you find you're getting sad or overwhelmed, it's because you were mistaken and you forgot that you are not the feeling. So we go back and say, is this mine? And now we are the observer. And then we can trace that thought. As soon as I traced it back to this lady, I was like, oh yeah, I've been in this cushy zone of being an entrepreneur where I don't see people. And it took me by surprise and it got me low. It attracted other things of that vibration. And then before I knew it, I was like, oh, I'm never this sad. All right, I haven't been that sad since I was younger and I didn't know any better. And I had depression and stuff. So I was like, nah, something's not right. Something's not adding up here. And then I went back and examined my thoughts. Like, oh yeah, I was that lady. Combined with some Facebook stuff, brought me down. And then that's it. And then the journey was over. All right? So this is very, very, very important. Never forget this. Get comfortable with it again. Is this mine? Is this mine? And don't judge the answers either. It'll just tie you to that person. You're not a victim to blame whoever that thought came from. You're in charge because you chose that thought. I merged with that lady, all right? Because that's what empaths do. We merge with people because we want to help them. But there's a bit of a balance with that, and we can discuss that another time. Just for now, pull yourself out of it. That's today's focus. All right? Thank you, guys. I love being with you. Take it easy, and I'll see you next time I get inspired.